Hello, hello. I make another putty video. The sun is coming out, it's nice. Weather is starting to get better. I harvested the white flower that was ready, that was ripe. It was fully opened like this. So, and I made tea with it. And I have it here in my thermos cup. And I added also other things. So since it's just one flower, so I had to add some other things to it. And I made a mistake. I added too much chaparral tea into it. I bought that years ago from Star West. I think, I don't know, it was, I bought it, actually that one I bought at Mountain Rose Herbs, and they're fantastic. It's a fantastic company, very environmental. They have renewable energy, and they help renewable energy resources. They donate to environmental organizations and so on. And they use, as far as I know, they use solar energy for their production. And everything's all natural from the planet, all herbal and clays and minerals. Really great stuff for making your own products. It's very nice. So I have been researching different companies. I also like Nature's Oil. I like Bulk Apothecary. They are together. That's a one company. So I found out that they're somehow also associated with Star West Botanicals. So maybe I misunderstood this, or they get some of their stuff from Star West Botanicals, some of their bulk raw ingredients. Star West Botanicals are really, really great as well. There's some really good companies out there for making fantastic products, or for just using the natural oils like that. And some of those also have synthetic fragrance oils from synthetic fragrance molecules that have been, they're constantly, there are, I don't know, chemical labs out there that are constantly working on creating new scent molecules, and some of them are more, a little bit more natural in their elements or fusions or whatever, and some of them are more complicated and more like synthetically created, which means created through heating or certain polymers involved. So certain chemical binding that would normally not happen in nature. So they're constantly trying to figure out new scent molecules, and the real large, of course, the those are real large laboratories, and I sure hope they do not test any of that on animals. I hope they test that on their own skin. So really hope that they supply, of course, they supply perfumers, master perfumers, and candle stores, and so on, and with all these different scent molecules that are they're already diluted, because it has to be carried by some kind of carrier oil, usually mineral oil. So the scent molecule itself cannot be, that be way, way too acidic and strong. So it has to be merged with an oil in order to be carried as a scented oil, of course. So they have different strengths, obviously. So I'm just trying to get educated on this entire process and how this all works and where it originates. And it's not that easy to figure out where the actual source is of. I figure the source, the source manufacturer of fragrance oils will probably have much better prices. So all these other people, they are getting this from those sources, from those chemical lab sources, ultimately, and then they dilute it with different carrier oils. They already come in DPG mineral oil solution, and then some other companies will buy this in bulk, and then they will stretch that with their own carrier oils, with also either DPG, which is cheaper and it is heat resistant, or they will stretch it with natural carrier oil such as sunflower seed or sesame seed oil. So, or others, olive oil. The natural ones are not very heat resistant, so they will have to be put into a dark glass, like a sunglass, shaded glass. So it has to be light and sunlight protected and heat protected. So the DPG, the dipropylene glycol, which is mineral oil, it's a byproduct of the petroleum industry, which is skin safe, and it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice on the skin, it's a very light oil, very, very fluid oil, and it is very heat resistant, very temperature resistant. So that's why it's popular in use, and it's also much more reasonably priced, of course. It's all very interesting. I'm thinking about getting into it, thinking about creating something with this, you know, with some of those raw materials. I want to create something with it. I also want to create, right now I'm a little bit overwhelmed. I'm just starting to just get into the scents and creating scent combinations for myself. I would not use the synthetic scents in a shampoo. If I created a shampoo, I would not do this. I would keep that completely natural, with natural essential oils in it. Now Foods has a 5% rose absolute oil. It's 5% rose absolute in a natural carrier oil. I think it was sesame seed oil. And they have a very good price, 1 ounce for $10, which is a very good price. So Eden Botanicals they only have natural, all natural. They don't have anything synthetic at all. And they have really, really high quality, all natural essential oils. They have a range, I don't know, more than 1,000. And they're fantastic, absolutely. I've been buying from them for many, many years and will continue. They have a 10% rose absolute. They have different types of rose. They have Rosa Damascena from Morocco. They have a Rose Otto. It's not called Otto. Then they have a Bulgarian rose. Different types of natural roses that have been harvested. And the Rose Absolute, the complete condensed syrup that comes out of the rose oil production in the different countries. That is extremely expensive because it's an absolute syrup, and it's very dark, it stains, and it's very gooey, like very thick and very gooey. So only for people who have a production chamber, or I don't know, production laboratory, not laboratory, but production room to with all kinds of equipment, where they can process these kinds of really thick liquors and syrups. So for me, I have bought that before, and it's very difficult to work with because much of it even gets lost because it sticks to the glass in the bottle, and I only bought small bottles, very hard to get all of this out. I even used cotton swabs and some other carrier oil to liquefy it and get the rest out, scraped out of the glass, because every drop costs like $5 or something, almost. So yeah, it's precious stuff, very precious. So now I'm just buying dilutions, like 10% or 5% dilutions of those Absolute oils, Rose Absolute or Violet Absolute or Chamomile. Chamomile is also very expensive, the all natural chamomile. And I bought some. I have that over there with my water steamer for like when you have a flu or something, or you have bronchitis. That's really, really helpful. And I put a drop of those essential oils in with the water, and then it comes out with that water steam. Feels really, really good. I have made also hand creams before, and they came out very well. I actually made very simple ones where I had a candle, I have different candles. I have paraffin wax candles, I have soy wax candles, and when you have the rest of the candle, after the candle has burned itself out, then this is a resource, and I feel bad throwing that away because it makes a very excellent hand cream. So I use these little tea lamps that I have, and I put a tea candle underneath, and it heats up the base on the top, and I put a ceramic cup on top, and I put the wax in it together with a carrier oil like olive oil or a mix of natural carrier oils for making salad dressing, all natural. I put that in, it will in time melt together with the wax, and once that has melted, sometimes depends on how much it is, I might need 2 tea candles to heat that up. So, or you can also use several of those tea candles underneath in several tea candle holders or tea stoves. So I also want to make one. I want to make a tea stove. I've made one for my friend Birgit. I have painted her a large wall-size painting also. I made her this really, really lovely self-made, hand-molded with clay tea stove, you know, with tea candles that you put into it, and it's really, really gorgeous, like my artwork, and with the blue god shape. And this really large painting, wall-size painting I made for her. She paid me for the canvas and the paint, so that was, I don't know, about $60 or something. So I worked on this for like a year or something, and made that for. I loved her so much. I still love her. She's now a parrot, and someone stole all of this. Someone broke into her storage room. She had a paid for a storage room. Someone broke into it, got all of that. So I don't know who owns this, who has that now. Someone in Germany. So they better hold on to that artwork, because at some point, who knows, you know, posthum fame or whatever. Certainly not going to happen during this lifetime, but my body of art is growing, and who knows, you know, it might be discovered by someone later on as something, you know, because I know it is full of energy. I know it's vibrating with the blue god, the infinite cosmos. That's what it represents. So I love my artwork. I'm very, very happy with it. Not saying that to brag. I really love my artwork. I feel very fulfilled and very infinitely grateful that I'm tuned into this and be able to paint like this and make sculptures. It's a wonderful thing. And I believe that everyone can. If you tune into it, you can do something, you can create something. You know, Frida Kahlo did, you know, from South America, the wife of Diego Rivera. Those are the most probably the most famous artists from South America in history, and made a film about Frida, so played by Salma Hayek. And Frida Kahlo was painting in a rather straightforward, kind of childlike way, and wasn't putting too much of precision of any sort, whether neither abstract or in a photorealistic way. She wasn't paying attention to that part of the art, of, you know, precision. I'm about precision. It's eye measure, and it has to be precise, because it has to please me in an energetic way. It has to please me. So I'm not going to let go of it until this is not finished. So until this is completely calibrated, you know, the art dictates that to me. So not every artist works that way, you know. So there are artists like Jonathan Mese. It's very childlike, and it has a lot of energy in it. It still has a lot of energy, energetic. So it's an outburst of some sort. I used to paint like this as a child. I'm not saying that it is childish, or I'm not saying that it is less artistic, because this is how I painted as a child, and this is how Jonathan paints, and you're not supposed to, a stick figure or whatever, or not precise, or no, no, there's no judgment in it. It still has its power. It still has its expression, and that's what matters. And that's why I'm saying you can paint like Jonathan. You can, if you get into it, something amazing will form its way through. Okay, in time. It's not about precision. For me personally, this is how I work. I like that precision and that calibration and that balance and this harmony that is in it. Some people accused my artwork of being regimented. Several people did already. Oh, it's too regimented. It's not my problem. My art is my art. This is how it is. If people don't like it, that's not my problem. If they find it regimented, well, that's not my problem. I can kind of see how they come to this evaluation, because I don't leave any kind of extra room for anything. Everything is compacted. So maybe they see that as regimented, or the figures in it kind of militant a little bit, almost. Yeah, it is protective mother womb, so it's the world I want to see, basically. So for Frida Kahlo, it was important to express this in a childlike way. And there are many other artists that do that as well, and that's just as artistic, so and beautiful. And that's why I'm saying, different artists express themselves differently. Some paint very fast, and create something very quickly. For me, it takes many, many months. With some people, they do a quick drawing that is very, very much like an outburst. Jackson Pollock, look into his artwork. It's an expression. It's an energetic expression. There's a lot of outbursts. There's a lot of anger. There's a lot of venting in it, and that's important. That has its importance. This is also showing the world you can express yourself as well. You don't have to hold back in any way. So you can express yourself. There is no judgment at all. If someone judges that, that's their problem, not yours. You paint, you create something, make something. Picasso just sets up different things: a broom, a stick, a box, a rock. Yeah, you can create something out of this. Something wants to show itself through the formation of different things. This pile of clothes here, for example, you throw that down. Something wants to show itself through this, for example. It's just like performance art. Or no, this is just a pile of clothes that I'm sorting out. But sometimes there can be a face showing itself in fabric, in so-called random pattern formation. It can be a face, that can be a gnome face that can show itself, a ghost, a troll face. They all have something to say. So that those things also show themselves in the bark of trees. The most amazing faces have shown themselves in the bark of trees. That's how the gnomes, that's how the trolls, the the dwarves, and the fairies, that's how they show themselves. They show themselves in pattern formation, in nature, or in fabrics or rugs. Sometimes there's the way you step on a rug, something shows itself. You create a putty or a doll, and you dig into it, and suddenly there's a face that comes up. It wants to show itself. Maybe it has something to say to you. Maybe if you look at it, meditate on it, you will figure out what it wants to say. So for people who are really attuned, they will see the message. For someone who's not attuned, they won't notice anything. Okay, it's just, to them it's just a pattern, it's just a random pattern or structure. Or they will even think that's crazy to interpret something into it. No, it's not crazy. It's just being attuned. It's being highly sensitive to it. You know, it's kind of like tuning yourself into a frequency, into a radio frequency. For that, you have to have a very sensitive receptor. So it works on the same. It works in the same principle. It's amazing how receptive some people are in this world. But those are the ones that are often ridiculed by the other people who are not receptive. And then there are some people that are receptive but are very afraid of that receptivity, and they block it out deliberately. My husband is one of those. He's highly sensitive, but he blocks it out of fear. He's more afraid of ghosts than I am. I've seen this, and it was quite interesting to observe. And that told me that he is deliberately blending that out. He doesn't want to see it, he doesn't want to hear it, he doesn't want to feel it. One time a wind draft came in and it opened a door. And the door was flinging open right in front of him. And he was like, "Oh, go away." It's like, "I thought you were an atheist." Where's this reaction coming from suddenly? I didn't say it, but I observed and I thought, interesting. Very interesting. He knows the metaphysical world is out there. Of course he does. In our brains, we all know. We know it's there, you know. You can't deny it, you know, it's there. You know, I talked about this before. Dr. Hindak Emrich from Medizinische Hochschule Hannover Medical School in Germany. He works with people who had overdosed on hallucinogenic drugs, and he found out that through working with them that there's actually a formation in the brain that functions as a discrimination filter. Not in a judgmental way, but it filters out, it discriminates against information, data from your surroundings. Because if it didn't, we would not be able to navigate our way through life. We would be constantly stopping in front of every energetic formation that builds up in the room. Because we'd see all of this. And then we would think, oh, we gotta go walk around it. So it would be very difficult, you know. Can you imagine driving while you see all of these things? That's why I say don't drive when you are under the influence of any kind of drug, particularly not alcohol and hallucinogenic stuff or relaxants or any of these things. So if any, just, yeah, caffeine is better than, you know, but I don't recommend caffeine either. I don't put any caffeine into my body ever. It just causes me to get like hyper, and it doesn't feel good. It feels artificial, actually. It doesn't feel right. I don't take any drugs of any sort. I'd never put a hallucinogenic substance into my brain. My brain is already working very flamboyantly, as my friends know who watch my videos. My friend Sandy and whoever watches my video. If you watch my videos, I consider you my friends. So if you like my videos, I consider you my friends, because that means a lot to me. If you have the patience to listen through my insecurities and my stuttering, my pondering over my pontificating on finding the right words, and on the material that I discuss, because I think this is very important to get into all of this. Very important. And yes, I do feel, I feel very awkward sometimes about the way I look, and I feel like I want to hide myself. So I kind of like go in and out of the monitor. Oh, I bought hand puppets on Amazon. I bought a crocodile, a plush crocodile hand puppet, and I bought a plush giraffe hand puppet. So I got that idea from Dr. Marshall Rosenberg, and because he has a giraffe hand puppet and he has a jackal hand puppet, and I looked at the jackals too, but I don't like to give the jackal the personification of the ego. I don't like that. The jackal has also both sides. The jackal is a very sensitive animal, very highly sensitive, very, very group oriented, very herd animal oriented, family oriented, just like we are. Needs love. They sleep together in caves, in dens. So no, I don't want to characterize or stigmatize such a sensitive, sweet animal with the ego character. So I got the crocodile instead, and I don't want to characterize the crocodile with that kind of stigma either, with that kind of persona of ego and reactiveness and snappiness and all of this. So but I thought the crocodile is really cool, and there's a history connected to it, to the crocodile in my life. Because when I was 5, I was sent to a child play therapist. Her name is Anneliese Ude Pestel. She wrote the book Betty about the 2-year process of therapy with me from 5 to 8. I was almost 6 when I came to her. So, and that was also a time when I came to school while I was in the therapy process with her, and I always reported on how that was going in school. When I told her, I painted certain paintings. I painted a girl they were just like scribbling over the mouse. And I said, there is a girl in the class. She is mute. And it was a very subconscious expression. And that girl was me. So I talked about it in the third term, like the he, she, it, in the third person, there is this girl, instead of saying that is me. I am the girl. So this is an automated reaction when there's too much pain. A lot of writers also do that sometimes when they portray themselves or aspects of themselves. They put it into the third person. It's easier. Annalise did it herself when she wrote the book Lisa, much later, after we have both been in primal therapy. Annalise is a dog now, and her name is Botox. This is so cool, isn't it? Oh God. She had to be. She had to come as a Labrador, and the situation had to be like this because there were so many things she hadn't understood yet. Because in her Annalise psychotherapist lady time, she was this blonde beauty, and she didn't know how it feels to be not a blonde beauty. She couldn't put her mind on it, what it must be like, to be not this Hollywood ideal, beauty ideal. So, and that's where she and I had some conflicts going on. She didn't know what it must be actually like to be looking like I do, to be looking completely not Hollywood, completely not politically correct. But I accept myself just the way I am. I love my skin, my body, my face, my shape. I love everything. Even my hair, which is a bit like straw. But I love it because it needs love. So, and I love it because that is my precious vessel that is carrying the soul. And I love it. I love it very infinitely much. And I love my papa dog even more. My papa dog I love the most. My papa dog's my baby. He is my child of choice. And I love his body and cells and brain and hair and everything and humongous tree trunk legs. I love all that precious orange king. I love all of that the most of all, infinitely many beings in the infinite cosmos, the absolute most. So Papa, my number one. Papa comes before myself. I give my life for Papa. I do everything for him. He means more than anything else, more than myself, more than my body, my brain, my husband, any. Or if I had a child, Papa would mean much more to me. There is a formation in the tree. That resembles that crocodile that I just bought. Synchronicity. And the crocodile says, "Hey, I'm looking forward to coming to your house." Yes, I am too. So yeah, I got the crocodile, but I'm not going to stigmatize it with the ego. So the crocodile is significant because when I came to Annalise, I said to her a couple of very significant things that were like sort of trance-like. They weren't, because my cortex, my neocortex had not been, they're the two plates of the brain that the skull plate hasn't even grown together. It wasn't completely cohesive yet. The cortical function was still kind of wishy-washy, and that gets completed, I think, at age 21 or 25. So, and I could clearly see this in the way I was thinking and reacting to things. So, looking back on my life. So, when I was a child, I was this spooky girl in a trance, sort of, you know? Like from the spook house, the girl from the spook house, you know, like with a mini skirt from the 70s and yellow knit stocking, pantalon underneath, and you know, and and the yellow turtleneck sweater. That was that was one of the things that are combos that I was always wearing. My mother put that on me, of course, and it was not a good idea because a girl should never be wearing mini skirts, even if this is in fashion, should never happen. Okay, nothing good comes out of that. So I came to Annalise and I said to her in this trance state, I said, first I said, I am exhausted or something like I just hung over the swing and I went back and forth like this. And I said the whole world is poison when I was 5. And then I said to her, I said the crocodile in the Casper Theater. She had this Casper Theater there, and sometimes she would play something for me with the hand puppets. She had a crocodile hand puppet, but the head of that crocodile was made out of a hard plastic with the jaw that would clap like this. And I took that crocodile and I said to her, "That's my favorite figure. And you must always be good to the crocodile. Always be good to the crocodile. The crocodile is always good, and you have to always be kind and sweet and good to him." So she noted that, and in her notebook after each session, she took notes and she created a book out of it. And it's not in print in the English version, so I wanted to refresh that, so I had taken it on and translated a third of it from German into English. The previous translator wasn't into it, so, and you can clearly see it, and it wasn't even edited. They did not even edit out the glitches and the typos and all of this. So, and the foreword is the summary of the whole book in a very bad way, and by someone else, and that wasn't very well written. And so I decided, and also they did not, the most important thing is they did not understand what I was feeling. They didn't, just out of that, they didn't do a very good translation, because when you translate a book, you have to be really knowing what that person is feeling, or you're not going to be finding the right words to describe these things, because those are, but you know, when you translate some kind of how to build whatever, build something out of wood, you know, then you don't have to be so picky with the word choice. But when you translate a book that with the theme psychology, you know, and particularly child psychology or metaphysics, you know, philosophy, then you have to be very, very careful on the word choice. So, and I thought I'm the only one who can even translate this book, because I'm the person that was the client in that story, in that true story. And I know Annalise now also very well. I didn't know her very well at that time. I just met her when I was 5 through my dad, who was a friend of her husband, who was a math professor at the university. And then I got to meet Dr. Arthur Janov through Annalise, and we both went to Arthur Janov to do the training program to become primal therapists. But we were there for many years, for like 3 years altogether, I would say, under his ward, under his direction. So then I went back when his wife had taken over the direction. So 3 years where he was there and he was teaching and he was doing the classes and he was doing the supervision and he was monitoring the situation and the people, and nobody died, nobody got sick. We all worked our way through it. So I'm not blaming his wife. She just didn't know it better, and she was just not knowledgeable enough, and not personally in her own life was not ready to take that on. But who else could have taken it on? Everyone else was also an unfinished product, myself included. So, and it's because Arjanov wasn't there anymore. I'm not blaming anyone on this, okay? But because he wasn't there anymore, looking over people's shoulders and watching and seeing the act outs and the interactions gone south, So it's because of that.